So it looks like Expansive Worlds is at it once again, hinting at new content, and this time it looks like it might be the new weapons everyone has been asking for, because scattered around Medved Taiga are boxes of 7.62x54R ammo, and over on Hirschfelden, there are boxes of 9.3x74R ammo. Now, both of those calibers are in the Hunter Classic, and both are amazing for big game. I want to draw a few comparisons to that in a bit, but first I have another little bit of something I want to show you. This is the 7mm we have here in the Hunter Call of the Wild. Everyone knows it. It's probably the most famous gun in the game to this point. And this is the 7mm from the Hunter Classic, the break action version. As you can see, very similar, basically the same model, obviously updated graphics for Call of the Wild. Now, the reason I bring that up is I would not be the least bit surprised if the 9.3x74R and the 7.62x54R are basically the same models from Classic brought here to Call of the Wild. In fact, the developers have even said basically something along the lines of everything that's in Classic will eventually find its way here to Call of the Wild. So to see those guns brought over here would not surprise me. So why not take a look at what the guns look like in Classic and what they could look like, obviously, if they make it to Call of the Wild. So the 9.3x74R is a break action double barrel rifle over and under, and it looks just really clean, just a nice sleek design. And not only does it look good, it packs a punch. It can take down water buffalo, the biggest species in the Hunter Classic, with a double lung shot. Instant kill, they don't run anywhere. But also, it is super versatile. It can shoot animals as small as roe deer legally. So it works a little different than in Call of the Wild, but basically, you get the point. Now, as for the 7.62x54R, it is a bolt action rifle in the old Classic style. So you can see the scope on it. It's a fixed power 3.5 zoom scope. So a lot less modern looking than anything else we have in Call of the Wild, which I think would be a really nice addition. I think a lot of players would really like to have that kind of older style rifle that adds a bit more of a challenge. It also might add a interesting aspect to the game balance, which is where I want to go next. The game balance is actually what has me confused the most about the 9.3, because I just mentioned that basically the 9.3 in the Hunter Classic can drop a water buffalo. Now, I wouldn't expect that in Call of the Wild, but I would expect it to be somewhat similar. The reason I'm confused is there is a red deer on the ammo box. So why would there be a red deer on the ammo box if that gun is designed for water buffalo? Because in the Hunter Classic, if you look at the ammo box, that does have a water buffalo on it. Now, I'm not necessarily saying the gun in real life is designed for water buffalo, but my point is, it's a huge caliber in Classic for big game. I cannot possibly imagine why they would have a red deer on the box unless it's ethical for red deer. And I can't see why it would be ethical for red deer when the 7mm is currently the biggest gun ethical, and I believe a 9.3 is bigger than a 338, which is not ethical. So while they could use a different gun than they do use in Classic, I somewhat think they are going to go with the same one, and that red deer has me entirely confused. So now I'm back to it being super versatile, because as said, it can actually shoot things as small as roe deer in Classic and still be basically getting the integrity bonus. That's not a thing, but for anybody that doesn't play Classic, I think that's going to be the easiest way to equate it. Maybe that's why? Whoa. Alright, that's slightly broken. But why would they give us a gun that is able to shoot that many species like it does in Classic? That doesn't make any sense. I feel like that does not work in any way with game balance. So the only thing I can come up with, if it is going to be ethical for red deer, it's going to be something maybe like a 338 power with a 7mm ethical species list. That's the only thing I can come up with. I've been trying to figure this out for hours at this point, just like thinking back and forth what they could possibly be going for here. The red deer maybe is just something to throw me off, or throw everybody off, but I'm just confused beyond anything I can even think of anymore. So at this point, we're just going to move on to the 7.62 game balance. And actually, I do just want to say before we get into that, I am basing everything I'm saying off of the gun that is already in the Hunter Classic, so they could add a more modern version, and basically everything I say here makes no sense. But let's say they are adding the Classic style 7.62x54R that is in the Hunter Classic. That scope has 3.5 power zoom. That is this, basically. Can I find, like, an animal? I'll go find an animal and, well, that's this. This is zoomed in. That's fixed zoom. That is the scope that we have in the Hunter Classic. So not much zoom. So what I'm thinking is that's kind of the balance for that. And I think the closest thing you could really equate the 7.62 to in the Hunter Call of the Wild is the 7mm. And again, just quickly before I go any further, I do just want to say I don't know that much about guns, so if I'm completely wrong here, feel free to correct me in the comments below, because I would like to know what's actually going on here. But anyway, if we have to kind of relate the 7mm to the 7.62, there's no reason they would add the 7.62 just to be another 7mm. So the only thing I can imagine is we're going to be looking at something similar to the 45-70, where it's a gun basically as powerful as the 7mm, but with like a 270 ethical species list, or at least that's all I can figure, because we are getting these as a DLC. That's essentially a guarantee at this point that it's going to be Weapon Pack 2. Now, whether it's only going to be those 2 guns and that's it, or if there's going to be more that have yet to be revealed, I have no idea. But because it's a DLC, I can somewhat understand then why it would be guns that are, like, almost making the other guns in the game obsolete by being more functional and that they have a wider ethical species list, and also better being that they're so strong taking down those species. So the fact that we'd be paying for those guns as a DLC as opposed to getting them just through the normal game, that at least is viable, I suppose. It still seems like maybe not a great idea, and maybe they are just going to be, you know, like a reskin of the 338 and the 7mm, and that's what you get. Who knows? But again, I feel like they're going to do something different. It seems like that would make the most sense, and I guess we'll see probably somewhat shortly, but it's pretty much, you know, they've put the ammo boxes on the maps. So I do believe that it's at least, I wouldn't say confirmed, but it's a pretty dang good chance we are getting those guns. Maybe not the ones exactly from Classic, but we are getting some type of new gun, almost as a guarantee. So again, please feel free to correct me in the comments below if anything I've said is wrong, or if you have any insight as to maybe, you know, other information about the guns, because as said, I know next to nothing about those 2 calibers other than the info I have from the Hunter Classic. So that is going to do it for this video. I know I'm really excited for some new guns. I've been saying this for a while, that they could basically reskin the guns we have and call them something else, and I'd be happy. So for what it seems like they're doing, I am pretty stoked, and if they're doing what they have in Classic, I'm actually going to even be more happy, because I love both of those guns, and if they added the same ones here to Call of the Wild and made them functional, I am going to be just a happy hunter. By the way, since we're here on Medved, Zaggy has his Medved loadout video out now, so if you guys want info on what guns to carry out here on Medved, go check that out. Link is below. And that is going to do it for this video. So thank you for watching. Again, let me know what you guys think in the comments. I'd love to get some insight, because I really am a little bit in the dark here. But thank you again, and I'll see you next time.